I received an email from the designer of Fallen asking me or offering to send me his game because he said he thought it would interest me, and making it clear that he wasn't expecting any kind of video or anything. The website perplexingruins.com is where you can find this material. I will, of course, put the link down in the video description. This video, at least this part of this video, is going to be me just showing you what is available with Fallen. We'll talk about, of course, a bit about what Fallen is. It's described here as a Baroque and grim fantasy tabletop RPG. While it is not specifically a solo RPG, there is a ton of material here that supports solo play, including this Woods of Despair supplement that's described as a solo adventure for Fallen. We will take a look there as well. And just a lot of solo support material, or material supporting a GM running the game who wants to be able to lean on some random tables and things of that nature. Let's first look at the basic rules here and understand a little bit exactly about what this game is. And I'm going to put the credits here because the design of this book, the layout, the overall artistic direction of all the supplements here is very evocative and consistent in a way with the feeling that you want to get from the game. And we can look here at the cover of the City and Adventure supplement to see how it supports this notion. The notion is that Fallen sits somewhere in the historical precedent of the early modern period. Generally speaking, Euro-American 1600 to 1850. It is influenced by the clash of superstition and knowledge, of folklore and science, and of faith and independence. However, Fallen is fictional. It aspires to catch a tone and mood more than historical fidelity. Muddy stagecoach routes, cider-serving taverns, dark forests, large estates, alchemy, demons, witchcraft, canals, card parlors, and strange lights in the old bell tower. That is an apt description of what is here. It made me immediately think of the board game Touch of Evil, and so much so that I got out my 3 Touch of Evil game maps, and I originally set up this display here on top of them, but I found that it was too distracting. But if you want to get a board game analog, it's Touch of Evil. And I could even see, along with the concepts that I put forward as some of the different types of resources one might bring into solo play, the idea of bringing in some material from the A Touch of Evil games as supporting material, as visual prompts. I don't think it's necessary, but I think it's very possible that you could do that, and it would fit right in here if that's the way you want to expand or experience your solo gameplay, or frankly, gameplay with others. On the rules, these rules will be considered overly robust by some and severely lacking by others. This line is a difficult one to manage, and I wanted to call out that comment because I think that is a very difficult line for game designers, because everybody's going to have their own opinion about what's missing or what's too much. And no matter how much a designer says you should be flexible in what you pick and choose, I think explicitly stating that is important. And then finally, there are enough tools in this book to allow the solo player to embark on their own journey. And we'll look here specifically, that is very true. There are enough tools in this particular book. There are a lot of random tables here at the back, including what is called a spark table to get you going into a story, and maybe we'll even start there. We're going to roll 2 D100s. It doesn't matter what goes with what. I got a 93 and a 52. So 52, ooh, witchcraft, that's the noun. And we said 93 as an adjective. Ooh, observable witchcraft. And actually there's one more I can roll here. That's a 45. Observable witchcraft regain. Okay, that is a story for us. Regain observable witchcraft could be a goal of either our own party, our own characters. It could be a goal to help someone who is a witch. Perhaps in this world, witchcraft has been more a stronger force, either for good or evil. And for whatever reason, it is now vanished and we need to regain it. Perhaps witchcraft is good and the absence of it is something that is causing despair or difficulty in the world. So that is just from this here. And again, the next thing we're going to do before we even decide who we are is we're going to go to the Hillgrab supplement here. And this is the map of Hillgrab, and there's lots of different places on it, but 10 of them are numbered here. And so we're going to roll on on this just to kind of see where whoa, that went way off. I've got to start over there. 1. So we're going to start out at Risen Rock Hill. I'll find it on the map here. It is a commercial district. It's bustling, sprawling, and crowded, odorous and noisy, with the voices of exchange and trade. Golden Plaza is the hub of the neighborhood. Stalls selling food, general supplies, clothing, weapons, and tools can all be found here. Convenient because we're going to be forming a party, maybe 3 people, and they might need to buy some things. Located on a hill that overlooks neighboring districts. So we do have some information here about some NPCs we could roll up and what they want and stuff, but we already know we're here. We're going to be, something is going on with regaining observable witchcraft, so we need to think about that. We've located ourselves in Risen Rook Hill, and for this story, let's find the Risen Rook Hill. Here we are, Risen Rook Hill. And I'm going to be really abstracting this greatly. So I may put a little marker down here, but this is just we're not using this as an actual hex crawl type of scenario. But in any case, we're at Risen Rook Hill, and who are we? The way this works is, for the most part, you are defined by your skills, and there are 12 skills here from which to choose, and you can assign 5 points among whatever skills you choose. So the way I'm going to do it is, well, show you for one character, and then I'll probably do the other 2 off. I'm going to roll a d12 to start, and whatever I get on this d12, in this case it's a 10, that's going to be my kind of main character defining skill, and I'm going to build the entire character around that. And in this case, I rolled stealth as my central character, so this might be akin to like a kind of thief or a rogue. Those classes and things don't exist in this game, but conceptually, steal it, hide it, sneak past it. If we get a success on the roll, we'll see how this works when we start to play, we achieve our goal. If it's a complication, we get the goal, but we have to roll 1d8 on a suffer fate table. And if we miss, we are going to suffer fate. So our main character here is stealth, and based on that, I'm not going to assign the points yet, I'm just doing this conceptually. We will take a look. There are 4 abilities, and just focus in here a little bit. We have strength, which is physical power, focus, which is concentration, agility, speed and swiftness, and willpower, mental fortitude. So the way it works is we can assign modifiers. We get a +0, +1, +2, +3 once to each ability of our choice, and that's the modifier. So another way to do it is to assign the 0 one, and then we get to roll a d3 to randomly assign it, meaning you have the possibility of rolling 3 threes. For example, here's my d3. So if I did that, I would ultimately get to assign a 2, a 3, and a 1. So in that case, it worked out the same, but you could risk it there. Here, I'm just going to go for a 0, 1, 2, 3. With stealth being my kind of thematic main thing, the Concept perhaps is I will use maybe agility. I'll assign 3 to agility and 2 to focus and 1 to willpower and 0 to strength, I think, for a character that is a stealth character. Now, again, I can distribute 5 points among these. I can't max out one more than 4. So I think I'll think about this, give one, I'll focus on strength, stealth, exploration, and let's see, survival, forage, track, wild game, probably survival. Those, I might choose those 3 and distribute my skill points among just those 3. And let's actually, I'll do my 2 other main roles on camera so you can see what the theme is for those characters, and then I'll build them up off camera. So we got a 3. So the third one here is diplomacy. You know a thing or two about their ways, polite deception. So we got stealth, diplomacy. I would really like something that's more aggressive. 12. Let's see, what's 12? Venture. All right. Undertaking hazardous journeys. So basically, we've got somebody, primarily a diplomat, a type of a thief or a stealthy character, and then an adventurer. So those are the thematic things that we have for our 3 characters that I've decided I'll play. And now I'm going to fix them up and show you stat-wise what we have. Okay, so I fleshed out the characters, and I did this mostly, or actually entirely, by rolling on the random tables here for the motivations and the names, etc. I've decided that my characters are 3 sisters. They are Mabel, Eliza, and Philippa Theodosia, all coming from the name suggested in the book. Mabel's the oldest, Eliza's the middle, and Philippa is the youngest. I've numbered them because there may be a case where I need to do a random something. And Mabel's motivation is revenge, and Eliza, the middle daughter, is duty, and Philippa is honor. And I say middle daughter here because my feeling is that these are sisters whose mother was crucified as a witch and burned at the stake at some point. I rolled up for their area of disturbance. I ended up writing down horror because I wasn't thinking what the language was in the book. I think that's a sense I get, the horrific nature of it. That for 2 of the sisters, it was cemetery. The third is a large body of water. Maybe their mother was drowned. Actually, now I'm thinking, yes, that's the connection there. But when I rolled up the cemetery, I was already getting the sense, once I decided I felt like they were sisters, that there's some intergenerational thing that they're trying to maybe repair, or I don't know, seek revenge on. The older sister is driving this story, seek revenge for the drowning of their mother. And this is suggested by the 2 cemeteries and the large body of water, fear. And the middle sister, of course, is trying to modulate between the perhaps extremes of her other sisters. The younger sister has a sense of honor and maybe has being younger and further away from the horrors of their mother's death that happened maybe when they were adolescents. She is more aligned with the community as it exists now and isn't necessarily so on board with the overall sense of this story that the driving force is to regain the observable witchcraft, to get back to a place where witchcraft was a good thing and where the witches would thrive, as opposed to when the community turned on their mother and drowned her. So this is what's motivating their journey. I'm not yet sure where they're going, but I'm having this feeling that they're here in the city, and we rolled up that they had started on Risen Rook Hill, which is this commercial district. But I noticed that it's pretty near this ancient cemetery. I also noticed a typo here in the spelling of the word cemetery. Anyway, it's near the ancient cemetery. So I think prior to the start of our story here, they were gathered at their mother's grave. Now, perhaps, I don't know if she was as a burned or drowned in the lake, if she would be actually buried in the cemetery, or maybe another of their ancestors is there and they're seeking a place for their mother's soul to rest. I don't know, but I sense that prior to the start of the story, they traveled from the cemetery to this commercial district, perhaps to purchase something or make a transaction. I'm not sure. As I was rolling them up, they ended up with a bunch of money, a bunch of coin. And the way that happened was when I rolled to give them their 3 items, there were a couple things. I rolled up 2 horses for the 2 sisters. I didn't really want them to have a horse, so I just said they have collective money here, that they sold those immediately for the 10 coin each. So they ended up with a bunch of money, and then I did some barter to purchase some things. So I purchased, I can't remember what I ended up purchasing, but I purchased a few small items like a spyglass and I think lockpicks for Mabel. And so now they're left with this amount of money. Maybe they're taking this money to the commercial district to, I don't feel that they're going to buy something. Maybe they're going to try to purchase some information or knowledge to get a sense of what they need to do to avenge their mother's drowning. And I also just have this feeling I'm being pulled, even though I'm in the city here, and even though Mabel herself we know that her place of peace is this kind of anonymous bustle of the city. They're being pulled somehow out of the city, and their journey, they are going to have a journey that's taking them, and I'm just like having this feeling of taking them east, because I again have this feeling that they started here. They came together in the ancient cemetery. Perhaps they live far and wide in the land. They're not children anymore. They're young adults, and they've come together to do this quest to avenge their mother's drowning. And now they're traveling to this commercial district here. So I rolled randomly here for what they have in terms of armor and weapons, and Mabel has this hammer which does d6 harm and some sturdy boots, and Eliza has this buff coat that she's wearing, as well as this rapier that she has, and Philippa has the leather long coat. Perhaps she's very chic in that, and she's got a hatchet, so she means business too. So these are what they've got, and they have some other items that came up randomly, a brewing kit, some candles, some silver spikes, some lockpicks that I purchased, as I mentioned. We have a writing kit here for Philippa that suggests to me, I'm not sure how that is going to come into play, but that feels thematic to me, although it does have a usage die, so we may have occasion to actually have her write something, or perhaps perhaps this is it. A written record needs to be created of this journey. They're trying to rewrite history both figuratively and maybe literally. And we have Philippa here, the youngest, the one that is connected to the existing world. She's the bridge, perhaps, between the past and the present. She is the scribe. She is the one that is going to record their journey, and in so doing try to rewrite the past history of their departed mother. All right, so I don't know. We're gonna say that we're in this Golden Plaza, and it's the hub of the neighborhood. So we're gonna walk up to a stall, and it's like a bazaar, like a really crowded place where lots of things are sold. It's kind of random in that way, and we're going to roll and see what type of. We're just going to have what we call a settlement encounter, and we're going to roll 2. I don't actually have 2 d8s here because they're in the other room. So we're going to use these D10s and re-roll. That's fine. 1 and a 5. So what happens? The clouds pulse between white and crimson. So the sky is signaling some type of danger, or there is an unrest, an environmental unrest. This is going to be not a literal encounter, but figuratively speaking, this is signifying that there is some kind of disturbance in this town. And what kind of disturbance is in that town? A 32. Well, a ceremony is happening in the street. Oh, under a red sun. So the three sisters are in this bazaar area, and they turn and they look back from it, and they look to the street, and they see that indeed what's happening is a ceremony. They can see down to the cemetery area. There's a procession through the town, that there is right now a burial rite for somebody, perhaps a town elder or somebody very highly regarded in the town. And this just, especially for Mabel, who is motivated by revenge, this is just sort of firing her up even more, that her mother was exiled and then drowned in the way that she was. And as they turn and look and see this procession and this ceremony walking by them. Now I'm going to go here to, these are the oracle cards that I have, and they have images on them. They have answers and some prompts here. There's not any instruction particularly on how to use them, but what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to pull in one and look at some of the word prompts to see what the impact. They see this ceremony winding through the cobblestone streets of the town, what the impact of this is on their mood or their plans right now. And we get secure location. So what this tells me is that this is back to the theme of the goal here is somehow to get their mother's body or soul back to this cemetery, the secure location, the place of rest for the people in this community, where their mother belongs, but she is a wandering soul now because she was drowned as a witch. And the two older sisters were so scarred by that the cemetery is a place of horror for them. But the goal is to restore their inner peace by their quest that they're going on. How will this happen? I don't know. We have this larger goal to regain observable witchcraft. I think it is a turn of phrase, meaning that the community itself needs to be changed in some way. Perhaps they need to, I don't know. And like looking further at this card here, we see this image of kind of wilderness, or certainly not a town area, which is supporting this concept, this feeling that I'm having that something is propelling them out of the town along this route here, where they're going to pass by the spire, and we'll look and see what that is. Spire Bluff. There's the bell tower here, and the Black Gate perhaps is the exit. Actually, looking more closely here, the Black Gate is the exit toward, maybe that is a mountainous area, and this is wilderness to me. And we have here an image that suggests like somebody possibly being burned at the stake. We have her, I decided she was drowned, but of course witches and perhaps her fellow witches were also burned at the stake. So this is signaling a strong sense of that is drawing us in this way. And we have this, the first words here are the field. So we, again, are being driven by this card to the outside. Interestingly, we also have this word, the trial, here. So persecution, calendar, again, reinforcing this concept that there was a wrong done to the Theodosia sisters' mother, and their quest, or the course of their quest, they will be to right that wrong in some way. Of course, they can't bring their mother back, but they can restore her name and perhaps bring her soul back to the ancient cemetery where it should be. All right, so I was looking back, I was editing this segment here before I moved on, and I noticed that somehow this card that I pulled for the secure location word turned into this card with the pictures. And I really don't actually know how that happened. I couldn't even see how that happened in what I had on camera, but I thought I put a note up when I saw it, and I thought I would just talk about that here and kind of bring that into the story, because I didn't really mean to do that. But what we have here, if had I referred back to this card as I planned to do, to look at the imagery here, we have a buildings and we have suggestion of coin or money or exchange is what I would abstract that out to. And so I note here, I mentioned we're passing by this Spire Bluff area, or could be, because I just have this feeling we're going east. And we're going to see we're going to look that up here and just decide whether we're stopping off there or what is going to be happening if we do stop off there. There's some kind of exchange. Maybe, I think I said this earlier, maybe somebody has like information for us. Oh, so Spire Bluff is a university, the site of ancient Hillgrab University, whose tall bell tower, recognizable from all over the city, gives the district its name. Its tiered structure, built fortress-like on the eastern bluff, further enforces the imposing edifice. Comprised of small alleys, nooks, and hidden courtyards, the spire is densely packed and bustling, leading the charge into the modern age. So let's just give a roll. I don't know that we're going to get involved in any of this, but let's give a roll to see, let's see what people are talking about here. We have a rumors and whispers here that, new dark incantation. So there is some kind of magical discussion going on in the area. Sights on the street, we're walking by, we see a poor family of a mother, father, and 3 children selling a rare pencil. Well, there's some exchange there. Should we try to buy that rare pencil? Should we give them some money? I don't think so. I think we're just going to note that we've got the 3 children there. That's could be symbolic to us as 3 children. A 5 for we are walking by the Dusty Page Stationers. That's an ephemera dealer. Now, we recall that one of our sisters, Philippa, she has a writing kit. I talked about that somehow there was this sense that something had to be recorded there. Maybe we're going to go in. Let's just let's roll a d20 and just see, should we go in? This is just going to be we'll use this table. Should we go into this stationery? No, definitely not. All right, we're going to keep passing by. So we're headed out. We're headed out of town, I think. We're going to just pass by and exit Hillgrab, the city, into the wilderness here. And we're going to do 2 things. The first thing we're going to do is I'm going to get a sense. I'm going to roll a D88 on wanderings to see what, if anything, descriptive specifically we get. I've said this so many times before. I never seem to have two D8s when I need them. So we'll roll a 1 and an 8. They were among the trees now, and I glanced around nervously, but saw nothing save the quiet branches and trunks and the landed bushes. And no sound broke the silence except the occasional snapping of a twig under our feet as we moved forward. Yet in spite of the quietness, I had a horrible feeling that we were not alone. Once, as we moved along, there seemed to come again a distant sound of wailing, and I said to myself that it was the wind, yet the evening was breathless. So we have a sense we're not alone here. We don't have a sense of necessarily where we're going. So this tells me we're going to do 2 things. I'll show you the discussion here in the main rulebook of travel. We can roll a d4 and come up with a sense of what our journey is going to be. So we got a 1, so it's disquieting. And the distance it's going to be is d4 plus 1. So it's just going to be 2 hexes away. I'm not using a hex map, but I could. 2 points away to wherever it is that we're going. And we are going to be rolling up. In this case, I think I'll go to this book here itself. Let's just see, where are we going to? We're going to be going to a mill. So we're going to be going to a mill that's 2 points away. And this mill is, actually, I got to get a D10 here. This mill is, it's an enchanted mill. So again, sense of perhaps this mill is the place where, I don't know who's at this mill, but it's enchanted. So maybe somebody who's the source of this magic that we need to reclaim is there. Let's see. I got a D12. Who is at this mill? A farmer. A farmer and a highway rogue are at the mill. And they, let's see, their motivation: to create discord. So perhaps they are out here in the mill with this, it's an enchanted mill. So they are creating, maybe they're just creating this magic. We'll take the concept of a mill, maybe a little bit more abstract, to it's a generator of something. So the farmer and the wandering rogue are generating magic, and the farmer, we could also abstract, that has to do with the land. So again, this concept of the environment trying to put back the magic in the world, and we have to go there to do something. We have to go there to do something. And let's see, can I get anything else from here? So we're going to go to determine, well, we have the sense that we're not alone. And we could go, there's 20 named creatures in the world. We could go there now to roll and see who might be looking at us. I want to do, so for the travel, you are instructed that you are using your, what happens is based on the venture result of a roll. So we do have, let's see, who had the venture? Mabel. So Mabel is leading us out. She only has 1 point in venture. So the way this works is we're going to roll 2d6, and we're going to add a relevant modifier here. And based on that, we will see what the outcome is. So when we're on a 10 or higher, everything goes to plan. 7 to 9, complication. 6, miss, nothing works out. And then there's another challenge. So we're going to be looking toward venture here as we give it a roll. And we got our 2d6, and we roll, oh, well, that's 10 without the modifier, so success. We're going to reach our waypoint safely. Roll a usage die, roll 1d20 in the wild table to see where we are. All right, let's see. So this is going to be the intermediary point that we have reached to get to, oh, it was a 20. We've reached a bridge, so we're crossing over a bridge. We're going to look down, and we're going to look and see, do we see something down in the bridge or underneath the bridge? I feel like I did a recent video where there was a troll. I just did a video where they were crossing a bridge. Maybe someone will remember what it was. And there was something down there. It was it was the Rangers of the Hidden Vale video. There was, we crossed a bridge and there was an interaction there. But we're crossing a bridge now, and we're going to look down, and we're going to do a little investigation to see, do we see something down there? And this is a 4. 5, a 6. Well, we do see something, but that's a complication. And the complication there is finding something that complicates the situation, such as a new quest threat, a danger, or a trap. Well, in that case, we are going to say that that complication is going to be the 10th creature in the included bestiary. Ooh, there's a giant rat, a brutal spawn of their pestilence-carrying cousins. Many believed it was the emergence of wolves again that slaughtered the livestock, but once homes began to be raided and it was realized the ears were round and not pointed, an entirely new horror began to grip the village, likely to appear in groups of 3 to 4. And we have some reactions here, and so we're looking down at these rats, and I think to show you combat, I think we're gonna go after them, and we will. Let's see, what are we having? We don't really have. I don't actually really have some. Well, maybe we can try to jab them with this thing. Maybe we could do that. We could toss our hatchet, perhaps, but we don't actually have. We're standing on the bridge here. We could go down the bridge. I think we're gonna make an attempt here. We need to know, are there 3 or 4 giant rats? So we will roll a d4 and see if we get a 3, 4. Well, there's 4 of them. That happened pretty quickly. So we got 4 giant rats. We're looking at them over the bridge, and I think we're gonna go after them so that maybe we can loot their little bodies, or they're not little because they're big. Loot their bodies for something, or maybe they have like a nest that they are protecting, and we want to kind of raid it to see what's in the nest. All right, so here we are, the 3 sisters. We've made our way down from the bridge looking into the river, and we see these 4 giant rats here. I want to explain how combat works, and then we're going to try to dispense with them as best we can, although I note that they are poisonous. So what we're doing in combat is we're doing all the rolls for it, and we will be starting out by doing an initiative check each round. So we're going to do, it's a very easy, just roll a d6 to see what happens in terms of who goes first. So in this case, we rolled a 2. So the foes are going to take the lead. That is to say, the rats are going to take the lead. And we will try to defend against their attack. And in this case, we'll roll a d3 to see who of us gets attacked. So one of the rats is going to be rising up and attacking Mabel here. And we all have some defense. We have 1 armor value here. So we're going to try to evade and roll the dice plus agility and see what type of evasion we can do. So Mabel's agility is 2. So she's going to roll her 2d6 plus 2, and we're looking for a 10 or more for a success. Oh yeah, she definitely jumps out of the way of that. So we parry the attack and we deal 1 harm. Now let me explain this key thing about harm and wounds and what the difference is. Fallen uses a rank system for all characters, and we note here that we are rank 6 and the rats are rank 6, and what this means is the 6 is referring to a d6. The rank is going to be equivalent to the health. So if we deal a wound, a wound is going to actually lower the rank. So it would turn the d6 down to a d4. Harm, which is what right now we are dealing with parrying the attack, harm is actually going to basically take the die down 1, in this case 1 harm. So now that's a 5. So to bring that die down all the way, we would have to do 5 more harm. But if we do a wound that's bigger, it just removes the die. And then when the rank is reduced to 0, the character is gone. So rank in that way is health. And we note the values here on our weapons is that that's a harm value. So we're only dealing harm with the weapons, but we are dealing wounds with an actual success in the attack. So if we do a melee roll and we get the strong success, we deal actually the wound, which is going to remove that entire die, bringing it down a rank. Hopefully I explained that correctly. This is probably a good time to note that per the rules of the game, there's a beautiful character sheet that comes with the game, and I'm going to put it right up on the screen now so you can look at it, and you can notice that the places for the values of your attributes and your skills are squares, because those are meant to be actually dice placement, that you're meant to put dice there. Practically speaking, I don't think that works very well, but the reason that you do that is both to signify the rank that you have, and also a very important factor in the game, which is this concept of luck. And the way that luck works is that we can take any of the 3 dice that form our modifiers of the 1, 2, and 3 and roll them to add to a given result. And we have to do that at the outset. But once we do that, we remove that dice, and therefore the rest of, until we rest, that attribute is 0. That dice is no longer in play. And we can replenish our luck every day. So for example, if I decided I really, really, really wanted to increase my chances of evading this attack, I could decide to take, essentially roll 3 d6s, taking one of my modifier dice, and decide which skill that's from to contribute to my roll. But then for the rest of the day, because that value was gone, I would have no more attribute in that thing, in that area. So for example, I could decide to turn my focus to 0 for the rest of the day and basically take this and add it onto the roll. I didn't do that, and but I did successfully evade, and it evaded so well that I did deal that 1 harm to that rat's rank. So the rat that attacked me here, this one here, I'll have to find a way of noting this, now has a rank of 5. And as an aside, I will say that these cards are awesome. I would have loved a set of cards for the creatures here in the bestiary. I think that would have been so cool. In any case, that was the first round there that we defended on, and I'm not sure that was our defense. I think, although it doesn't specify that, I'm going to assume a round is that they went first and now we can go. And what we're going to do is, Eliza here is going to use her rapier to sort of try to jab at somebody, and we're going to go for this rat that just nipped at our sister, and we're going to roll. Let's keep track of this here. So this is the rank, and we're going to roll here with our strength modifier. Her strength modifier is a 2. And we're rolling really well. So she has a success. A success does a harm. So you can see here that a success deals a wound, and a wound itself is going to just remove this and turn the rank down to rank 4. So now this rat here has a rank 4, and we will roll for initiative. We'll roll for initiative for the next round. We got a 5. And that is us taking the lead again. So she's gonna just keep at it, basically. She had good success. She's gonna keep at it here with her +2 modifier. And so we got an 8. We just got a 10. So that is dispensing with this rat here. Now the rats are gonna come back and attack. We'll do a D3 roll to see who they're attacking. They're attacking Eliza. She is the focus of their ire, because they see the blood in the water from their fallen nest mate, and they're going to go for Eliza here. I forgot in the prior roll, it didn't matter, but we do have a 1 armor value, so that would have impacted, but she was successful anyway. So we're going to try to evade this attack. We're going to roll the dice plus agility. She rolled an 8, and she has no agility value. So, and she does have an armor value. So we will get to she rolled an 8, so she got a complication. So we have to take the foe's harm, And the giant rat's harm value here is the harm value of any creature is equal to half its rank. So in this case, this particular rat is still a rank 6. So it's going to be dealing us 3 harm. Now, because she is wearing this buff coat, we can subtract the armor value. So we're only going to get 2 harm. So remember, we're rank 6. So our rank then is going to go down to 4 for Eliza. I think that's how that works. And the other thing I note now here is that they're going to have a reaction. It says when it steps to our rank 4, there's a 50% chance of another giant rat appearing. So before I dispensed with that other one, it went to rank 4, and we needed to do a roll to see if another one appeared. So I'm going to do that now, sort of retroactively, and we'll say on a 50 or less, one does not appear, and on a 51 or more, it does. We rolled a 64, so another rat takes its place. We could see this could be not good for us in terms of getting out of here, because if we start to take wounds, we're going to get poisoned, and the poison is going to lower our willpower until it's healed with an antidote. So I'm not so thrilled about that. I think we'll go at least another round or so and see if we can get rid of these fast. So now Mabel, with her sturdy boots on, is going to wander, into the water and try to bash this guy over the head with her hammer. And we got a 4. She adds a 2 to that, and she is missed. She's got nothing's working out here, and as to symbolize nothing working out, I'm going to say that her sturdy boots get infiltrated with water. They're not quite as sturdy as they seem to be, and for the rest of this combat, I'm going to say that they are not giving her this armor value. That's going to be the complication here. She shouldn't have really wandered into the water so much. That's the little bit of a lesson there. And now we're going to roll again for the next combat. So for the sake of the video here, I'm going to say we're going to flee, and because there's a few more things I want to show you before I wrap up. To flee, you take a willpower test. It doesn't really say whether we can have one test for the whole party or whether we each individually have to test our willpower. Eliza's she's got a willpower of 3. So let's see. So she rolls a 9. So clearly she can flee. And is she going to leave her sisters behind? Or let's see. So Philippa's willpower value is only 1. Well, she's out of there too. And Mabel's the one, she has no additional. We got to roll a 10 or more for her to successfully leave. And we only roll an 8. So she can't flee without something bad happening. Now, it says, if engaged in close combat, take 1 harm. So the 2 sisters took a harm. They fled, and we're left here with poor Mabel here, whose boots are wet and soggy, and she failed her flee test, and they're not gonna leave her here in the side of the river with soggy boots all alone. So they're gonna drag her to safety, but there is going to be a penalty of that, and maybe her penalty is that as she's being pulled away from these giant rats by her sister, she loses her weapon, she loses her hammer. Maybe that's the penalty here. We're going to say that's the penalty here for now. Her boots will dry out, but the hammer is gone, and the sisters move on and leave the rat swarm in the river there. There's blood in the water still, but this is too much for them to handle, so they're going to continue on to complete their journey and to try to reach that mill. As they're wandering along here, we've got Mabel's here without her weapon anymore. They're traveling to the mill. She's lost her weapon and her boots are soggy, and she is going to take this opportunity to cast a spell. And she's going to cast a spell to either protect or guide the rest of their journey. They are on the way to this mill, and there are things in the game that can direct whether this is a speedy travel, a safe travel, or whatever. But I want to show you, as the video gets long and I'm going to need to wrap it up, I want to show you how the magic system works, because it's very novel, I think, and worth a little bit of a demo. Incantation is a skill like any other, and you can assign it a value. In this case, I gave Mabel the maximum value that I could for incantation, which is 4. The maximum value for any skill is 4. And as with the rest of the skills, what this means is that she would roll her 2d6 and then add the value of 4 to try to attain a success. If she did attain a success in trying to cast a spell, which we will just test that right now to see if she can do that. So let's roll our 2d6, and we roll an 8 plus a 4. So that's a strong success on incantation. It says spend any available dice from your pool. What this means is that the value for that you assign the skill of incantation, whatever that is, equals what I just showed you, the modifier, but it also equals the number of dice, either light or dark dice, you can decide, that you have previously assigned to that skill. So in this case, I had 4 dice I could assign, and I assigned 2 dark and 2 light. These refer to this chart here, which is the dark dice, which are harmful, and the light dice, which can be healing. You then can decide on a success to spend any available dice from our pool to roll. We can decide they're light or dark dice, and we can roll them, and then we get these word prompts that we can use to represent the spell that we're casting or the incantation that we're doing. Now, you can also decide at the outset of the game whether you want to allow somebody, let's say I rolled the dark dice 3, would I be getting all these 3 words? Would I be getting just one of them? I think it's pretty much left up to you or the spinner, which is the name for basically the GM, if you're playing it that way, to decide at the outset of the game what the options would be. Of course, the other thing you could do with that would be to roll prior to your roll. You could roll a d3. So in this case, I rolled a 3, meaning the strength of my spell would allow me to choose all 3 words. So for the sake of what we're doing here, let's just say we have decided with our success here to assign 1 light as well as 1 dark dice to roll. And then prior to the roll, so here's our light and our dark, we're going to see we only get to choose 1 word of the 3 listed and say it's the first word. That's going to be how I'm doing it. So we'll roll our dice. So we got a 6 and a 4. So as Mabel is trying to do an incantation, what does she conjure up? She conjures up ghost, ghost was light. So she conjures up, she summons a 4. She summons a ruin. So thematically, in this particular game, I've kind of stepped out now of the gameplay to just show you how this works. She casts a spell as they're walking, summon ruin. Well, what I would say probably thematically is that she has decided that they don't have enough, they don't need to get to that mill, actually. She realizes where they need to go, and where they need to go is some type of a ruin, and then that's where they show up to. That's what kind of appears out of the mist and the fog. If it's raining, that is a ruin there. And there's going to be maybe an NPC at that ruin. And who is that NPC? Well, we can quickly roll one up using this quick NPC generator that we have. So out of the shrouded fog, we see a ruin appearing, and oh, there's a messenger at this ruin. And let's look at what are they? They are a well-dressed messenger, and they're going to be, their theme or whatever is revenge. Whether it's revenge on us, I don't think so. I think they are here to help us, that they too, just as we are here for revenge, Mabel is here for revenge. The theme now is we rolled up revenge for this NPC that's appearing out of the mist by this ruin. They're going to join us or aid us in some way that is going to further our own quest. And what we could then do is delve more into who they are using available tables here, and or we could, it says here, well, let's just see, roll if you become unsure of a narrative direction. Now, I'm not unsure of this narrative direction because I know this person is, maybe they're not, maybe they're like ethereal or something. Maybe they're not actually in this world. Maybe they are a bridge between this world and the magical world in some way. And they are, you know what they are. Maybe they're, I don't want to say they're our father per se, but I feel that they're connected to the dead mother witch, that maybe they were her husband. They don't feel like it's their father though, but maybe the dead witch, their mother, had like another husband who wasn't their father or something, and that person was also is also seeking to avenge their death or their banishment, and that is what Mabel was able to conjure up out of these ruins. And now they're standing in an area of ruins. I would probably go maybe outside of Fallen to one of my GM miscellany books that has, I know I have some bunch of tables about ruins, and kind of flesh out the physical area where this character is standing. But like I'm seeing like a ghostly, almost like someone like that's looking like this, sort of coming out of the mist. That's what it's feeling like to me, that somebody's coming out of the mist. And let's see, I have these cards here. Let's just go to these cards now. Again, I like using these cards to see, I don't know, either a picture or some words or something. What we get here, we get, well, deliver a message. So they're delivering a message. Maybe this is them. This is the ghostly rider coming up out of the mists to deliver a message, kind of summoned by the incantation that Mabel did. And we are going to now interact with this person, like this kind of concept coming up out of the shrouded mists of this ruin that Mabel conjured. And we are going to learn something from this person or be guided by this person in some way to help us further our quest to avenge our mother's drowning. All right, I feel the need to stop the game demo here because there are so many things I want to say in discussion of this RPG, and I'm running long on the video as it is in terms of my capacity to edit and upload something. What's wonderful about Fallen is, first of all, the setting, that there are really not a lot of RPGs that I know of in this space, this kind of, well, as it was described, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, this Euro-American 1600 to 1850 sort of think, as I said, the board game analog would be like A Touch of Evil, the kind of countryside filled with animated scarecrows and things of that nature that are from, at least as I'm feeling it, the American kind of fairy tale past, not dark fairy tale past. There aren't a lot of games in this space, and thematically it works well, I think, to the words chosen for the random tables and the attributes given to the characters and the weapons that they can have and the armor, such as it is called, that they can wear. All of these things are very effective in bringing to life that kind of feeling. So the fact that you have firearms and that you have things like muskets and such, dueling bashers, are unique to really signal this world and do so very nicely. The other point about this system, this is a standard role-playing set of rules, meaning it is designed to be played with a GM, in this case called a spinner of the tale, and a group of people. But there is so much baked in supporting material for solo play that it's fair to say that it's solo adjacent, or even almost solo. It certainly is soloable very easily. It is not a solo rule set per se, in that you have a structure built in and then you roll on table and you absolutely get this, or you need to do this to get that. But with a little investigation into what's here and thinking about how you would rely on those tables and how you would bring them in and when, it's very, very possible to do, because there are a lot of generators, even just in this main book. I started out the video using a generator from here, this Esoterica, to give us this entire kind of concept structure, the regain observable witchcraft. You wouldn't have to necessarily start a session or a campaign that way, but I think for me, having the overall structure and guide was helpful in terms of then bringing in who the characters were and having enough foundation to really feel the placement of my characters already made sense. And I talk about this in videos and in my solo game master's guide, where if you have enough of an environment and enough of a context, it almost starts to feel obvious what types of characters you need or want, how many of them, what their relationships are. And when you have those two things together, the environment and the living characters, and they're really knitted together almost before you even start, quote unquote, playing, it's a solid start to your session, because you can always go back to that feeling, that connection, that emotion that you've already established when you're not sure where to go next in the story. I didn't get a chance really to show you this campaign notebook, though I may have rolled on it, I'm not sure. This is great. So what this has a bunch of things. It has, first of all, again, some more random tables for designing some ruins and delving sites. So we have some basic tables here for, like, if you're creating a dungeon or a structure, what is in it, what it smells like, what it sounds like, etc. And then we also even have here a table, a D88 table, that you can roll on to get physical room layouts if you want to actually map something out. And then in the book, we get some hex paper, we get some graph paper, we have lists here for monsters, passive encounters, special locations, and campaign rumors that we may roll up. And we have a couple pages, different ways of doing this, notable NPCs. So you could really, as it says, be a campaign notebook, keep track of what you're doing as a reference. And I think that's lovely. The only point on it I would make on the front is I feel like it's almost, given the nature, the design nature of so much of this material, I almost feel like it's a little extra blank. Maybe it could have had a little more, be a little more inviting visually on the front of it. But in terms of what it is, it's great. And you have many pages to detail that. So really keeping track of your story. And then at the end, more bonus here. You get a D88 wilderness encounters table, dungeon encounters, settlement encounters, and even more tables. So for objectives and subjects and adversaries, you could use this entire thing, I think, just to create a whole overarching story, the way I went to the Spark table in the main rule book. But this is a little bit more direct. So you have the, let's see, uncover the truth about a cult, and it's a personal rivalry. So for some reason, so maybe someone in your family or whatever was in that cult, so you're trying to rescue them or something, and you're doing this for treasure, you're doing this for the money. So maybe the personal rival in this case is like you yourself might be semi-evil, and you are really a rival of the cult leader, but you've been sent by somebody in the village to recover somebody just to get money, and that's your motivation. So right there, you could get your own entire story here. It also offers you things to easily roll up travel issues. So as you're traveling, well, nothing happens here. And then you roll here, it's the same terrain. Or you're not on a road, etc. You could have omens that you could roll, discoveries. So this could work. And this, I venture to guess you're going to see me referring to this piece of material in other videos I do, because it's just super useful for any type of overland travel. And then there's even more here on the back. There's a D88 loot the body table, and you can find common things, magical things, and this is the type of something that it could be. So you could find a box and it would have a vial of unknown substance in it, or there's just lots of different ways to work with this table and getting some magical effects here for it. The magical effects may refer most specifically to this rule set to some extent, but I'm sure this could be abstracted out to other rule sets as well. So this campaign notebook, again, just super useful in terms of random play of all sort, really. And we looked at this card too. Again, another very succinct and very useful supporting material here. We have a D66 table that has both words and pictures, so you could roll on this. I think I used this in the video, I can't really remember. For example, if I rolled a 23, we get the word pain and we get some image here of a musket. That seems pretty straightforward. 61 is going to bring us to something maybe a little more abstract, destiny, and this kind of wheel. That could be the wheel of time, it could be transportation, it could be just signaling many different choices, who knows. So the combination here of the iconography and the words is helpful. And then we looked at this quickly when I was doing the game demo, just some more random tables of kinds of things that you could find extremely helpful as the soloist. So if you want to alter the scene in some way, you have a D8 table here. If you're not sure of your narrative direction and you just kind of, I need to change this up. So I get an 8, so I have to create a choice. Well, in this case, following, say, my storyline, I could say, all right, my choice is either to, when we conjured up that ruin, the choice could be, are we going to pursue the ruin and the person in the mist, or are we going to continue along as we were toward the mill, just for example. So something that can kind of inject into your story just a little bit of narrative gas, as it were, if you're running out of gas. And we have some more general sparks, action, detail, topics. Again, all this so super useful to the soloist, and the fact that it comes, designed to work with this game is just great. I didn't delve into the Woods of Despair. It's a solo adventure for Fallen because I didn't want to ruin or do any spoilers for it. I have looked through it myself. It looks really fun and great to play, and it is specifically a solo design. So if you're interested in the system but maybe not feeling super comfortable initially about soloing it the way I was demonstrating, that is available to do with much more built-in structure to it. And I already mentioned these other adventures. These are not solo designed, but they are, well, one of them, this is a murder mystery adventure. It's really cool, actually. I just love there's things that you could use here. I'm not sure how the murder mystery could play out as a soloist, but with all the descriptions, you get a D4 table that you could roll on, and you could certainly use this to build a story for sure, absolutely. And just to show again the wonderful art here, and the design on all of this is just very much within a style that is evocative of the theme of this game, and of course this wonderful map of the city of Hillgrab. We left the city pretty quickly, but as I think I showed at the outset, there are, oh, and here's this reproduced again, there are NPCs and random tables and sites on the street and things that you could use. It's almost like a workbook for a city here. I did skip over a couple of things in the rules that I'll just briefly mention here to show you that they exist. And the main one really is the kind of advancement or the leveling up, you could call it, of the game, where you can change the rank that you have, meaning, as we talked about, we started out, all new characters start out at a D6 rank. You can ultimately increase your rank. It shows here up to 20. I think somewhere else in the book it only goes to 12, but you could increase your rank up to 12 or up to 20, gaining experience. It's called advancement here, and here it only goes to 12, but it explains what the milestones can include. And again, it's very loose. And then as you increase your rank, you can gain other skills and benefits there as the character unfolds to become a higher level. What is, I think, also at the heart of this game and this experience, and why it does work so well solo, and why honestly I think it'd be really great to run as the spinner with people who aren't that experienced in role-playing games. I think it would be very easy to catch on. The basic die mechanic is quite easy to understand. Is that in the combat section, the author mentions this: the fiction of play should be considered. A knife, when used while being stealthy, may slay a stronger foe. Numbers may be guides, but Fallen is not a war game. It can be played entirely in narrative with occasional dice rolling. And I think that the feeling of that is very much here and present throughout the game, that you could dispense with almost any mechanic and just go to straight story and it would still work. And the presence of all these random tables and solo support is perhaps the most obvious manifestation of that, and obvious sense by the designer, commitment by the designer to that. But overall, the rules do support that type of lightness of play and rules if you want. And we'll just look again at some of the very evocative art that comes on these cards. So there's so much here, and having the so much here makes me just be asking for more, of course, as we do. When we have something we like, we ask for more. I mentioned in the video, it would be awesome to have cards for the 20 enemies that are in the main book, and it would be great if the cards had even a little spot for the die, because I mentioned that on the character sheet that's provided, you're meant to place the dice, and so that you can indicate when the dice is going down in pips. And also, we didn't do this in the video, but the concept of, if these are your 3 dice, and then you have the 0 that are modifying your attributes, and you want to spend luck to roll an extra dice, you sort of physically take that die off, and then you can roll it with the other 2 that you're using for the test to give you that additional benefit. But then whatever you took that dice off of, that attribute is going to remain 0 until you rest. So an interesting, like, physical way of showing the concepts, the mechanics of the game. I'm not sure practically, as I said, speaking, certainly wouldn't work for me for a video, but practically speaking around the table, even how well that would work when you have, I don't know, when I have pieces of paper with dice on them, that just doesn't seem to work out for me. And then in closing, just another look through the beautiful oracle cards that don't really come with any particular explanation as to what you might use them for. I mean, there's obviously answers to questions here, but just these word prompts and the pictures, very, very open-ended, and there's 20 different ones, so you could basically decide at the outset, even of turning one over, I'm going to look at the top picture or the bottom picture to kind of extend the individual cards to 40, really, and we have the 2 columns, etc. So overall, just a really easy to get into, thematic and different rule set that is in this game, Fallen. Highly, highly recommend it.